for their ages. Each week, we provide solid teaching, authentic worship, and a loving community for early childhood through 5th grade. We also provide an opportunity for your family to continue the conversation at home through full-length preschool video services featuring Ollie the Owl and family devotions designed to deepen what we are already learning in our elementary services and to provide a time for the whole family to pray and discuss together. Both of these resources and important information about Kids Camp, upcoming theme days, and more can all be found on our Victory Kids Lakeland social media pages. Before we start today's service, we want to take a moment and acknowledge all of the fathers here today. We want you to know that we are thankful for you and we are proud of you. We know that being a dad is a gift, but it's also a tremendous responsibility, and we don't take you for granted. We know you work hard and love your families, and for all you do, we say thank you. And to honor you in a way we know you can appreciate, today's service will include some fun competitions as well as a powerful message that will help you continue to become a father your family can count on. If you know someone that could use some encouragement, send them a text and invite them to watch the live stream, and then to be in service with you next week. And finally, if you are new to Victory, we would love to be able to keep you updated on all that is happening. Simply text the word CONNECT to the number on the screen. And if you need prayer or assistance, text the word ASSIST to 863-400-1226 or click the Need Prayer button on our website. Thank you again for being a part of today's service. And remember, you can stay up to date all week at victorylakeland.org.
All of my fear I will turn into praise and shake off this yes, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment. Sing, show me a say, show me one thing he can do. Show me a mountain he can't move. 'Cause he is the God of the great, and anything is possible. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me waters he can't part. 'Cause he's the God of the great, and anything is possible. It's possible. Yes, anything is possible, God. So we worship you, Jesus. And I trust in you, God. Oh, 'cause anything is possible. It's possible. Come on, do you believe that we serve a God that there's nothing that he can't do, that anything is possible? Come on, if you believe that, can we just begin to just put our hands together? Let's go. Just one word, you calm the storm that surrounds me. Just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Come on, sing just one touch, and just one touch, I feel the presence of heaven. It's just one touch, say just one touch. My eyes are open to see, my heart can come. Come on, let's hear this. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that he can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. So just one word, say just one word. You hear what's broken inside. Just one word, and you revive every dream. It's just one touch, say just one touch. Oh, I feel the power of heaven. Just one touch, say just one touch. My eyes are open to see, my heart can help. Oh, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that he can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. See, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall he can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's nothing you can't do, God. Come on, let's sing this out and say, I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Oh, I will say
serve an amazing God, a God that is worthy of praise. So good to have you here. Happy Father's Day. We're going to have a great time together. You may be seated. We're delighted that you are here. It's good to have all the church family with us. Good to have our new friends. So I'll come back and say more about that a little while later. But I probably need to go ahead and mention at this point that if you're brand new to our church, and I know how this works, you come and you're trying to figure out the church and you're trying to figure out what the service is going to be like. I understand. That's all normal. So all I want to tell you is what's going to happen in the next few moments is not something that we would ordinarily do, but it's Father's Day. And how many of you know it's okay? It's a good thing to have fun, especially in church. You believe that? So we're going to have a good time. We really are. A couple of games. We've got some amazing giveaways. That's all I'm going to say about it because I want to introduce two of my good friends who are going to come and take over this portion of the service. And that is Craig Roth and that is Butterfingers Tim. Yes. Tim Johnson. Take it away, fellas.
All right. Well, thanks, Pastor Jeff, for letting us take a portion of the service. And they're playing games with me right now. See, but anyway, we're gonna do a couple of things. We got some giveaways, and today, we thought about one thing. The Lightning are in the playoffs, and we thought, could we have slap shots? Could we do slap shots? But then we didn't want anybody getting hurt because a slap shot, man, nobody's got guards or blockers. So it's baseball. How many know that the Rays are a good team and so we're gonna do something with baseball. We're gonna get 3 volunteers, 3 guys to come down. And Tim, are you gonna pitch?
I'm gonna pitch.
Okay. Do you have like crazy pitches, like sidewinders and drop?
Vaseline under the cap. So yeah, I may be doing some spitballs, maybe. But no, listen, guys, we need 3 guys, but this is not base hit time. This is not like grounders up the middle. We need deep. Go big or go home. We need, 3rd-tier seats at the Trop, deep home runs, because the furthest home run is going to win 2 race tickets.
So we got 2 race tickets for the winner. So the furthest and the deepest hit, if you hit the pitcher, what happens?
Dad, that's a problem. I've got one peg leg, so yeah.
Okay. Pastor Jeff just did a little warm-up before the service, and while he was hitting, he hit one of the band members, and he wasn't able to play up here for the service or the worship. So anybody in the front here, just make sure, cover your eyes, be careful. We don't want anybody getting hit up here. So on 3, I'm going to have 3 guys come down. So the first 3 guys down here, after the count of 3, we want y'all to come down and then participate. So y'all get ready. We got 1, 2, 3. Now come on down. Come on down. Somebody, hey, batter, swing. We got one right here. We got one coming down here. We got one coming down here. We got Gig coming down. He usually plays golf, but he's going to play baseball today. We got couple more. I can't see. I see what you mean, Pastor Jeff. I can't see what these people are doing or if they're coming down. We got another one coming down right here. Got another one coming down here. So let's get some introductions. We got 3 guys. Let's give them a hand. Let's give them a hand right here. That's good. All right, so let's get some names. So your name is?
Corey Newman.
Corey. We got Corey.
David Gigowski.
Or Gig. Just call him Gig.
Gig is good.
David Soto.
David. So we got David, Gig, and Jonathan. Not Jonathan. We had Jonathan last time. Corey. And David and Gig. Nah, let's just mess them up. All right, so Corey, you're going to be first.
Absolutely.
And so we got 3. You got 3 these aren't real football or baseballs. We got wiffle balls. Can you hit a wiffle ball? Okay. All right.
If you don't like the pitch, let it go.
You're hitting as far as you can up that way. We got guys going to retrieve the ball up there. So, Corey, you're at bat. All right, let's get some cheering going on. Let's get some cheering. Here we go. Got some stands in the outfield. Woo! That's one. That's one. Got 2 more. Woo! Woo! Boy, you almost... One more. That's a foul ball. Woo! There we go. All right, we got some guys up in the stands. Here you go. Yeah, just like this. Maybe we ought to go two hands. All right, foul ball. One more. Here we go, one more. Woo! All right, no more, Gig. Here you go. All right, David, you're up. So far, Corey's got the longest one. Corey's past the second base. Foul ball. There we go. That one's going to rival it. That looks pretty close. I'm not sure. We got some guys up there going to tell us which one is further. Oh, we hit the screen. So, what you going to do, one more? No. Who's got the furthest one? Are they that close? One more. Corey, come up. 1 and 1. We got 1 and 1. Just one shot. One shot to win it. Come on, Corey. You guys were tied. We're going to go one shot. Here we go. There we go. All right. One shot. About the same place. Good job, Corey. Good job. All right. Woo. Wow. Who was the winner on that one? Corey. Let's give him a round of applause. After the service, we'll get your name and everything. We'll get you the ticket. So, would you believe that? Let's give them all a round of applause. If it was a golf shot, I think Gig probably would have won because he's a golfer. So the second thing we got is a grill off. And you're thinking, how in the world are we going to do like a grill off in here? And so we've already cooked the burgers. And we've already got all the condiments here for the hamburger. And we're going to bring 2 grills in. So you got all the condiments. You got everything you need right here. We need 2 volunteers to make up a burger. Okay? So since guys like to grill, we're going to make up a burger. And whoever's got the best looking burger. Now, I went a little bit longer last time. I'm going to stop at 30 seconds. And at 30 seconds, whoever's got the best looking burger gets to eat the burger. No, I'm just kidding. Whoever's got the best looking burger, they win. What do they win, Tim? Tell them what they win.
Guys, I mean, you are going to win one of these grills. So you'll go home with one of these grills, and I know, listen, making burgers, Craig, that's pretty easy. I bet these guys could do it with, like, their eyes closed if they needed to.
Yeah, they could probably do it with their eyes closed because guys like burgers, they like hot dogs, whatever.
All the condiments are ready. I mean, there's cheese on the plate, there's onions, tomatoes, lettuce.
Yep.
And how are they going to win? Is the best tasting?
No, Hernan's going to try it.
Okay, so the best tasting
Hernan's going to try it.
Wins.
So we need 2 volunteers. So when I count to 3, I need 2 volunteers besides Corey. You can't win 2 things. Yeah. Besides Corey to come down. So we got 2 guys coming down. And on 3, I want y'all to come down without trampling each other. We got 1, 2, 3. Come on down, guys. Couple guys, come on down. We got 1 right here, right on the front row. We need 1 more. We got another one coming right here. Got another one coming here. He's missing steps to come down. He's missing steps to come down. All right. Okay, and your name is?
Sean.
Mike.
Sean and Mike. Okay. So, like we said before, we figure guys can probably put this stuff together with their eyes closed. Well, we don't need you to close your eyes, but we do need you to put this blindfold on. So you put this blindfold on, you put that blindfold on, and you can take a look at all the condiments. And you have to make, without looking at it, you got to make the best burger. The one thing that we ask is that you put everything on the bun. The last guy kind of made it like right over here and forgot the bun. So that's all we ask. So we're going to have a countdown. Hernan, you're going to be the clock this time, literally 30 seconds. So it's got to be quick. And we're going to need some clapping and cheering again as we get started. So, guys, put your blindfolds on. Yes. Oh, sorry.
It's really not the best tasting burger.
It's not. It's the best looking burger.
It's going to be the best looking burger.
Yeah, I'm not trying it.
They got to look good. They got to look good, blindfolded.
Yeah, somebody bought the hamburger from Wendy's last night. I don't think I want to eat it now. So, all right. So we're going in 30 seconds. All right. So get your blindfolds on. Can you see anything under there? No? Okay, step up. Yeah, step right up to the grill. It's not hot. And we're going to start. We got 30 seconds. All right, so let's get some cheering going on. Cheer these guys on. All right, let's go. Hit it. Hit it. All right, we got the buns laid out. Everybody likes a little ketchup on there. A little ketchup, a little mustard. Some like cheese. The cheese is just a little bit hard now. It's a little bit hard because it's not looking as good. Got pickles. We got pickles.
We got
tomatoes. Tomatoes. There you go. How many we got left? 4, 3, 2, 1. Step back. Step back. Step back. You got ketchup all over the top of that bun. He got mustard on the side of that bun. Oh, boy. Well, he doesn't have the bun on top of it. But you know what? There's a lot of people that don't want the bun on there anymore.
Yeah.
Doing it without the bun.
It's called deconstructed.
Deconstructed. Okay, so we're gonna have just real quick. We're gonna meet just a second and tell y'all what we got. So who's the winner? All right. Well, it's a tough decision. You can't see the burger down here. He left the bun off and his tomato flipped off. Over here, he's constructed it so nicely. Even though there's just a little bit of ketchup on the top, it is a complete burger. So, you're the winner. He won this grill, too. We're going to roll this grill outside after the service, and you're going to take it with you. Now, the only thing that we ask is that when you take this grill home, when you take this grill home, you got to use it. So your wife is going to be expecting you to cook something on this thing now. Okay? All right, let's give these guys a hand. Thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. Pastor Jeff, we're going to hand it back over to you.
Thank you, buddy. Good job. Will you say thank you to Craig and Tim leading us through this part? Wow, those are some great gifts, aren't they? Raise tickets and a nice grill. Man, well, thank you guys for competing in that. But we don't want any of our dads to go home empty-handed. So when you leave today, all of our dads out there where the information table would normally be, we've got a table that's filled with these gourmet barbecue sauces that we've been able to bring. You see a picture of them right now up on the screen. And there's 3 different flavors. I wish that we had enough that every dad could get all 3, but just sort of pick your favorite flavor, take that home, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. It's just our way of saying that we love our dads, and we're so glad that you are with us today. It's good to have all of you, our family, our church family, and being back with us, and our new friends that are here with us today. And if you're brand new to our church, I hope that you'll come by the big blue tent right out front. We call it Guest Central. And I would love to be able to meet you personally at the conclusion of the service. I really would. And if you're brand new, if it's like your first time here, please let one of our team members know, and they've got a gift that they want to give you, just as our way of saying thank you for coming out, hanging out with us today. I'm so glad you're here. I want to say to all the church family, thank you for honoring God and being faithful in your giving. And that matters. We're talking about, in just a few moments, the message is about faithfulness. And one of the areas in our life that we can be faithful as Christians is honoring God, and with like a full tithe and giving to kingdom initiatives. And so thank you to all of you who consistently give. And you see there on the screen, there's 3 ways to give. Online, about 73% of you now give online. Or you could text to give, or you could give in the offering bucket at the end of the service. Give it to one of the ushers on your way out. But thank you so much for your faithfulness. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited about the message, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But I want, before we do that, for you to take a look at this incredible video.
My college career was over. I got offered a job to become a hospital administrator. 2-year program, $75,000 job. And right before I took the job, my daddy called me on the phone. Let me tell you about my daddy. When I was a little boy, my daddy would always pick me up. When he came home from work, he'd pick me up. When he saw me in the nursery after church, he'd pick me up. No matter how long he worked, no matter how tired he was, my daddy would always pick me up. So when I had my kids, I would always pick up my kids. When I got home, sometimes I was tired. They have a bottle in one hand, and they just lifted up the other hand, and they knew what daddy was supposed to do. My job was to pick them up. This is a spiritual interaction. When you pick up a child, it is a spiritual transaction. When you pick up a child, you change their perspective. When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done. There is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict. I don't care. Pick her up. My son messes up. I don't care. Pick him up. I don't care. You pick them up. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective. My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up. He would always change my perspective. So my daddy called me on the phone. He asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year. What's next? I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? You can't outproduce your self-image, son. If you don't think so, go take the job. But if you believe you're an NBA player, go for it. My dad had the self-control and discipline and waited for my answer. And my answer was yes. You're right, Dad. I can't work the rest of my life. But playing in the NBA is a dream I've had ever since I was a little boy. He said, go for it, son. I limped back into my coach's office with a cast on my foot. I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? I asked that question 4 years in a row. With tears in his eyes, he said, son, when I recruited you, I heard you was a mama's boy. But I'm here to tell you, you're just like your daddy. But what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He said, do two things you can play in the NBA. Lose 20 pounds or shoot a three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I think you should be a motivational speaker, son, but if you lose 20 pounds and shoot a three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I lost 20 pounds, and every day I would shoot 500 shots a day, every single day. I got invited to training camp with the Dallas Mavericks, and not only did I make the team, I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks to start opening night. Could you imagine what was going through my mind? I had not started a basketball game since high school. I got to the arena and they dimmed the lights and they put the spotlight right on me. Right through the spotlight, I saw my mom, my dad, and all my brothers and sisters. They surprised me at the game. Then I saw my dad. And I just pumped my fist. And he pumped his fist. And tears streamed down my face. Thank you for all those timeouts. Thank you for making sure I was always home when the streetlights came on. Thank you for making sure I could always hear your voice. Thank you for always changing my perspective.
And that just gives me chills every time I watch it. And, you know, I'm so glad that we have these moments together. And I want to talk for these next few moments about faithfulness. In fact, we're calling this talk, this message, You Can Count on Me. Obviously, with it being Father's Day, I'm going to be speaking to dads, to husbands, to fathers, to men. But I think what we're going to be talking about faithfulness in these next few moments is certainly applicable to us all, no matter what our gender is or age is. Faithfulness. Faithfulness is not a word that we hear a lot anymore. In fact, I wonder, just mentioning the word faithfulness, if it's nearly as fashionable as it once was, which is all the more reason that we need to talk about faithfulness today. Perhaps you're wondering, well, define it for me, Pastor Jeff. What is faithfulness? At its essence, what does faithfulness really mean? And I'll tell you what it means. Faithfulness is defined this way: as somebody that is trustworthy, somebody that's dependable, reliable, consistent. And I will admit to you that in today's culture, faithfulness is a rare and extraordinary thing, but it's doable. And I think no matter where we're at, we can grow in that. I believe that with all of my heart. I want us to look. Our first verse today is Proverbs 20 and verse 6. And I want you to look at this verse with me. Everyone talks about how loyal and faithful he is, but just try to find someone who really is. And I believe that out of this time, out of this service, out of our church families and individuals, there's going to come a greater measure of faithful people. We have to love the fact that when we think about God himself, that he is the perfect personification of what faithfulness is. And God wants us to pattern our lives after him, to become increasingly more and more like he is. In fact, I love this verse, Psalm 33. It's describing God's faithfulness, and it says, "For the word of the Lord is right and true." Look at this phrase. He, speaking of God, he is faithful in all that he does. And what God is looking for among people just like you and me is people that are faithful. So again, no matter where you currently may stand in regards to faithfulness, we can definitely grow into it. Furthermore, it certainly beats being unfaithful. It's a very unique description. In fact, when you see this verse on the screen, you're going to be like, is that really in the Bible? Jeff, I've never seen that verse before. Is it really there? And I'm like, it's really there. You can check it out later on your own. Look at this. Proverbs 25:19. Trusting unfaithful people, not faithful, but unfaithful people, when you're in trouble, is like eating with a broken tooth or walking with a crippled foot. Now, I want to just go on record, and I think that I could substantiate this. I don't think that there's a single person in this service today that you have adopted this verse as your life verse. I don't think you've done that. And maybe you're wondering, well, what in the world is the writer even implying by that? And the implication is simply this: unfaithful people. I want you to think about this now. Unfaithful people, this is what the scripture is saying, are like a bad tooth or feet that have nagging soreness. You know what he's saying there in essence? This is what he's saying. I don't want you to miss it. He's saying unfaithful people are a pain. That's exactly what he's saying. Unfaithful people are a pain. So how does it feel for you when you think about it in the terms of the context of your own relationships, when you really are counting on someone to be there? What does it feel like when the person that you're counting to be there instead is unreliable, or they're inconsistent, or they're unpredictable, or they're irresponsible? This is what I want you to know as we get ready to unpack what faithfulness is. God loves to restore faithfulness. And so in the next few minutes, I want to give you 7 indicators of a person that is faithful. Characteristics of faithful people. A faithful person is known in these ways. And all you note takers, get ready. And even if you're not ordinarily a note taker, I would encourage you to get these down somewhere. Write them, tablet, phone, whatever. Number one, faithful people keep their promises. They do. Faithful people keep their promises. And I just have to take a moment and just ask you to consider that in your own life in person, and ask yourself, am I doing that? How am I doing with this? Am I keeping my promises? When you say to somebody, I'll call you later, are you really going to call them later? If you say to somebody, I'm praying for you, are you really praying for them? Or I will be praying for you, are you really going to pray for them? If you say to somebody, I'm going to see you later, I'll be coming there soon, are you really going to follow through? And are you really going to do that? When you say to somebody, the check is in the mail, is the check really in the mail or about to be in the mail? Proverbs 25:14 says this, and you'll see it on the screen. People who promise things they can never give, are like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Wow, you just think about that for a moment. In this setting, could I especially encourage those of you who have kids? And I'll take that a step further. If you have smaller kids, if you have even young kids, maybe kids that are still at home, can I encourage you with this? If you are a parent, be especially certain. Do it anyhow. Do it anyhow. Do it anyhow. But especially if you have small kids, keep your promises. Why? Because kids, big kids have this, but even young kids, very young kids, have this uncanny ability to recall every single promise that you have ever made to them, whether you remember it or not. How many of you know that's true? In fact, some kids remember promises that you've never even made to them before. It's like, but you said, but I don't remember saying it, but you did. How many times have you said that? Mom, but you said. Dad, but you said, or you promised us. One writer said this, listen, the number one problem in parent-child relationships is resentment, and the number one cause of resentment is broken promises. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Why? Because faithful people keep their promises. Let me show you another verse here before we move on. Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 5. It is better not to make a promise than to make one and not keep it. Faithful people, be sure you get that down. It's so important. Faithful people keep their promises. Number 2, faithful people honor their marriage. Honor actually means to respect. It means to hold in high esteem. I want you to check out this verse. This is from Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13, and the A part of verse 4 says this, marriage is honorable in every way, so husbands and wives should be faithful to each other. It is this idea of mutual faithfulness. I want to just toss out for just a moment what I believe is a totally erroneous statement. It's incorrect in every way. And the statement normally goes something like this. As long as I'm not committing adultery, then I must be totally faithful. If I'm not committing adultery, I'm faithful to my marriage. And the reality is, that could be entirely inaccurate. See, faithfulness is a choice to not allow anything else to take priority over your marriage. And yet that happens again and again. Sometimes things that take priority over a marriage is a job, and job can become the number one priority. Sometimes it's hobbies, sometimes it's sports, it can be social media. It can be online shopping. It can be books. It can be friends. It can be pets. It can be Netflix. It can be a whole host of things that can become the priority rather than the marriage. But faithful people will honor their marriage. Number 3, be sure you get this down. Faithful people use time wisely. And this is something that I'm about to mention that all of us, we all have in common. Now, there's much that we don't have in common. Wouldn't that be true? Just look to your right and look to your left. Just look down and you realize that we're all very different in so many different ways. There's so many things that are uncommon that we don't share. That even now while I'm standing up here, some of you are just saying, you know what, Jeff? I would do anything if I could be like you and be 6'3". I would do anything. How, genetics, I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe I've been this height since 5th grade or 4th, I'm not sure. But there's something that we all have in common. It's not traits, it's not characteristics, it's not pay, it's not perks, but it is an equal amount of time. See, we all get and we all have the same amount of time every single week. We get 168 hours a week. And we have numerous options as to how we're going to utilize time. And in fact, this would be a correlation here between money and time. In fact, there are similarities in this regard because much like we could do with money, we can do with time, and that is we can spend it. Or we can waste time. Or we can even invest time. In fact, we can invest time in such a way that it's going to become bigger than we are and more lasting than we are. In fact, it could ultimately lead to a legacy of some sort that we would leave behind long after we're gone. How are we using our time? Look at Ephesians 5, verses 15 and 16. This is great church leader Paul. And he said, act like people with good sense and not like fools. And then he tells us how. He said, these are evil times, so make every minute count. Make every minute count. How are we using our time? So in this sense, as we're talking about right now, faithfulness involves managing our time wisely. So how is it that you and I can take this commodity that all of us have, the same amount, 168 hours a week, and how can we take this time and how can we use it sensibly? And I'll tell you that we could do it by, and if you're wondering what's happening there, come down and plug that even now. Man, I was feeling like paparazzi or something there for a moment. I was like, wow, it's going down here. So the guys are going to take care of this. Let's come back into focus. Focus. I want to take just a moment, because I want to keep us moving, and talk about two time wasters. Two time wasters that many of us need to eliminate. And it is this. Here's a time waster. You ready? Regret. Regret is a time waster. And you say, in what sense? Regret is a time waster because regret always keeps us looking back to the past. Regret causes us, and this whole idea of regret is I'm always looking, instead of being forward and focused, I'm always looking in the rear view mirror. It's hard for me to have forward momentum in my life in so many aspects because I'm looking back. I'm thinking about the past. I'm living in the past. I'm fretting over the past. I'm ashamed about the past. I have all this enormous, and it becomes a time waster. We take things that God has forgiven us all of a long, long time ago, things that maybe we haven't forgotten, but God says that He has chosen to forget, and we keep bringing that into our own headspace, and we're wasting enormous amounts of time, this time waster of regret, something that was a part of our past that we can't do anything about it now, but it just keeps us chained to the past. It's a time waster, and it needs to be eliminated. Well, if that's one time waster, let me mention to you sort of the antithesis of that, the opposite of that, and that would be worry. And worry is the things that we stress about in the future. We're worried. Some people by nature, they're not thinking as much about the past and wasting time with the past. They're always worried about the future. In fact, if they don't have anything concrete to worry about right now, they're worried because they don't have anything to be worried about, and they're wondering what's waiting for them right around the corner. And they're worried about it. Many people, and this has been proven scientifically and from a psychological standpoint, that a lot of times, not always true, but the majority of the time, the things that we worry about most are never going to happen anyhow. Never going to happen. Things that you're worried about right now, most of which is never even going to happen. Every year, I worry that the Georgia Bulldogs is going to win the national championship, but it never happens. It never happens. But maybe this year. See, I'm worried again. Maybe it will. It most likely will not. Friends, God sees our crowded schedules. He knows how much time we have. He wants to help us with it. So we just need to go ahead and pragmatically ask, God, what is it in my life and schedule? What is it that you want me to eliminate? What am I doing that I'm wasting time doing that I should extract from my schedule? And by the way, while we're having conversation with God about that, God, what is it when you, and I challenge you to do this, to look this coming week or look at the remainder of this month or what is your normal schedule and just say, God, what is it from my schedule that is a time waster that I need to eliminate, and then take it out a step further and say, and God, on the other side of that, what is it that I need to be doing, that I need to add to my schedule? See, a lot of times the things that we need to be adding to our schedules because they're good and they're productive and they're healthy, we don't have time. Why? Because our schedules are so weighted down with things that we shouldn't be doing in the first place. And we just say, God, help me. Faithful people keep their promises. Faithful people honor their marriage. Faithful people use time wisely. Number 4, be sure you get this. Faithful people make great friends. They do. They make the best friends. Faithful people make the best friends. They're loving. They're supportive. They're reliable. They're consistent. And who's going to show up in your life in a moment of crises? Who's going to show up? I'll tell you who's going to show up. It's going to be faithful friends. And some of you have been on the receiving end of that, and that is an amazing, amazing thing. Hope you have friends like that. If you don't, I hope you'll make some. Proverbs 17:17 says this, a friend loves you all the time, and a brother helps in times of trouble. Do you have friends like that? It has been said, and I love this statement concerning friendship. I hope you have some friendships like this, that friendship doubles our joy and divides our grief. Think about that. That a really good friendship will double our joy and divides our grief because somebody helps us with that. One writer says it this way, often we have no time for our friends, but all the time in the world for our enemies, because we're always thinking in that regard. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to reach out and make some good friends, because we all need friends. None of us have our act together in such a way that we can live in isolation and be healthy spiritually, emotionally, or any other way. We need great friends. I hope you have that. I hope you have somebody that's going to be there when you have a crisis, somebody that you can trust, somebody that you value, somebody that's consistent, supportive, reliable, somebody that's going to love you all the time, somebody that's going to love you on your good days and on your bad days. We all need friends like that. I hope you have them. If you don't, I hope you'll make them. But it's not just that we need good friends. We need to become a good friend. I run into people all the time. Pastor Jeff, I just don't have friends. I don't have friends. I don't have friends. I need friends. I don't have friends. And I know that there are some extenuating circumstances that do not fall categorically into what I'm going to mention right now. But depending on the nature of my relationship with a person and the leverage that I may have in that relationship, there's been many times I've looked at somebody, having heard them say that, and say, well, you know what? You need to be an initiator. You need to be a motivator. Because you just sit back, waiting for all these good friends to come to, and you're not doing anything. And oh, by the way, guess what? You're going to continue to wait. Because making good friends does not, you're not going to have mysteriously and magically somebody show up at your house one day and knock on the door and say, I'm that great friend you've always been looking for. You've got to be an initiator. I love this story. Those of you that have been around here for some time, you know that I'll never share a story unless it makes me laugh out loud when I read it for the first time. If I don't laugh out loud, I disregard it. But if it makes me laugh out loud when I read it, I'm like, at some point, you're probably going to hear it. I tested this one out on a couple of friends this week that love to hunt. Do any of you like to hunt? Do we have any hunters? Just sort of wave at me like this. You like to hunt? Maybe you're... And so here's how the story went. A group of friends went deer hunting, and they paired off in twos for the day. That night, one of the hunters returned all alone, staggering under the weight of this huge, trophy-sized 8-point buck. Where's Henry? The others asked. And he responds, I guess Henry had a stroke of some kind. He's a couple of miles back up the trail, the guy replies. And they all look at him and they said, you left Henry laying out there and carried the deer back? He looked back at them and said, it was a tough call, but I figured nobody's going to steal Henry. You really get that if you're a hunter, I promise. Nobody's going to steal Henry. Number 5, I'm glad you laughed out loud too. Number 5, a faithful person manages money with care. We make money management way too difficult. Dave Ramsey, who you guys know that I love, I listen to 2 podcasts of Dave Ramsey every single day. He has said that money, managing it, and I totally agree with him, is 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. It's not that we don't know what to do with money. Many times we fail to discipline ourselves to be able to manage money appropriately. I'm not trying to start anything when I throw this question out. But if I were to come to you and say, how are you doing at managing money? And you would say, doing really good. And then I said, really, tell me about it. Do you have a well-defined budget? Well, no, I don't have a, well. In fact, can I tell you this? Listen. This is extra. Here's a caveat. If you don't, listen, I promise you this. If this is not true, I'll buy you an Andy's ice cream sometime. My treat, my expense, okay? And I'll even ask Jesus to take all the calories out before I give it to you. If you don't have a budget and you create a budget, the moment that you create a budget, you will feel like you just got a raise. Because now you're going to be telling your money where to go rather than watching your money fly away in all directions and not. Let me take it a step further. Have you ever had this thought? We make so much money, where does it all go? It's a lack of money management. What does God do? God entrusts us with money, and then he carefully watches to see what we do with it. You know what he's doing? It is a test. It's a test of faithfulness to see how we will manage money. Are we going to be trustworthy managers? Are we going to be trustworthy stewards? Look at this verse. This is a great verse. Be sure you get this in your notes. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Have we proven ourselves to be faithful with money? Have we done that? Have we proven that we are faithful? I'm going to come back to this one in just a moment and speak to it just briefly. But are we diligent, reliable, consistent workers? Are we doing that? Are we doing hard work? Are we doing disciplined work? Hard work is not a bad thing. Hard work is a good thing. And we say, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the talents and gifts and abilities that God has given to me, and I'm going to have a strong work ethic, and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to create income. It's just sort of like finding friends. You're not going to have somebody show up at your door one day and not, here's that job you've always been wanting. Here's that income you've always been asking for. No, you go out there and you just show some initiative and you get a job and you make some money and you work hard, and promotion often follows that. And then, are we being faithful? Are we paying our bills on time? Are we managing money well? Are we generous with the money that God has blessed us with? Are we generous? Do we realize this is not always just for me? And sort of the American culture is such that every time I get a raise, I'm thinking me, me, me. Every time I get a raise, me, 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 more me. Every time I get a raise, more, me, 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 me. And at some point, we just reach a level where we've got to just start wondering, when is enough that I can really live comfortably? And then above that, I can look for all kinds of ways to be generous with what God has blessed me with. Andy Stanley writes this. Many of you know Andy Stanley. He writes this: Jesus taught his followers a rather interesting definition of greed. He said that greed is the assumption that everything placed in our hands is for our consumption. Let me read that again. He said that greed is the assumption that everything placed in our hands is for our consumption. How are you managing money? Are you being faithful? You got a good budget. You're getting after it. You're attacking some debt. You're building some savings. You're planning for the future. You got a plan. You're watching it all fly away. Or are you telling it where to go because you've got a good budget? Are you being faithful with the Lord's tithe? 1 Corinthians 16:20, and you'll see this up on the screen. If you've never really committed this to your heart, I would encourage you to do so. 1 Corinthians 16:2 rather says, on the first day of every week, each one should set aside a sum of money in keeping with your income. Guys, if you could keep that up for just a quick moment. Right here, it's just laid out as plainly as you can find it anywhere else in the Bible. 3 truths related to a faithful giver. A faithful giver is systematic. A faithful giver, that's what you and I want to be, faithful givers. A faithful giver is systematic. Look at the language. Look at the phrase. On the first day of every week, Sunday, on the first day of every week. A faithful giver is systematic. Secondly, a faithful giver is a planner. Look at this phrase, set aside a sum of money. Set aside, you've got a plan, you've got a plan. And the plan is for serious-minded, listen to this now, for serious-minded followers of Jesus, just like every other area of our life ought to be if we're faithful, is God first, God first, God first, God first. You've heard me mention this before. When you and I are tithing, 10%, that's what a tithe means. When we're tithing, we're not even giving. We're not. You say, Jeff, I don't understand. See, because the tithe belongs to the Lord, and when you and I tithe, what we're simply doing is we're returning. It's only when we get beyond the 10% that we really start giving, because the tithe belongs to the Lord. Giving is systematic. It's planned. Thirdly, it's proportional. It's a percentage. I mentioned earlier that we're not, we have so many things that are not commonalities among us. We don't all make the same amount of money. We don't all have the same perks or benefits. But I love the way that God has so structured tithing. It's not like God says, all right, I want everybody to give a certain amount, and here's the amount, and everybody give it. Everybody tithe that amount. It's proportional. It's a percentage. You see the phrase, in keeping with your income. And that's what a tithe is. A tithe is a tenth. And this is what we know about being faithful. Faithful people manage money with great care. Number 6, faithful people are diligent workers. If you hire or manage or lead people, and I talk to these kind of people all the time. If you hire or manage or lead people on a working team, what kind of players are you looking for on your team? And everybody's looking for the same. How many of you know when you look around and you walk in businesses, are you seeing the same things that I am these days? Every business you walk through needs employees. I mean, they just need employees. They need employees. They need employees. Everybody's looking for employees. I don't even do the job that I used to do. I transitioned several years ago from brain surgery to pastoral ministry. Maybe not. But what are you looking for? If you lead people, you're looking for reliable people. You're not looking for corrupt or crooked people. If you lead people, you're looking for trustworthy people, not dishonest or unpredictable people. If you're leading, hiring, managing, supervising people, you're looking for dependable people, not irresponsible or disloyal people. If you want to lead teams, what kind of team members do you want on that working team? You want consistent team members, not irrational, not unreasonable. Those are the kind of people that we look for to be on our teams. And maybe you're saying, well, I'm not really leading a team necessarily. Then the reality is, and even if you are leading a team, make sure that you are doing the very things that you're looking for. They make great team members. I can remember saying to my kids all the time, I'd say, hey, listen. If you want to go far in life, if you just always look for ways to exceed people's expectations. Whatever they want you to do, just give them a little bit more and have a great attitude. I'd always say to the kids this. I'd say, if you work harder than everybody else and you have the best attitude of everybody else, then, sometimes they've listened to that. Sometimes they haven't. But when you do, it serves you well. Ask yourself, how do I handle the little things in life? See, life is not, it's not just this picture of like one big thing that all of a sudden happens. You know how life works and work works? Life is consistently and work is consistently doing the little things again and again and again. In fact, that actually leads to real success in life and work. Again, you don't just all of a sudden have this massive, gargantuan, big thing that occurs. You know what happens? You faithfully do the little things consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You do the little things and you do them well and you do them in the way that God would have you to do. And then one day you look up and all the little things have accumulated to something that's pretty big and something that's pretty impressive. Because faithful people are diligent workers. Lastly, faithful people are committed to a church family. Committed to a church family. God wants you to be connected to something that is bigger than you. Listen, you never grow too big that you don't need the church. If you don't realize that now, there will come a point where you'll realize you need a church family. How do I know that? I run into these kind of people all the time. All the time. You never get so big. You never get so independent. You never get so isolated that you grow beyond the need for a church family. I want you to look at Romans chapter 5. Look at this verse up on the screen. Romans chapter 12, I should say. Verse 5. So in Christ we, though many, we form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. Wow, that's a powerful thing. You know what that verse tells me? That you belong to me and I belong to you and we belong to each other and we're a church family. I have people come to me all the time. Had it this week. It's just been a crazy, crazy week. And you do things because fundamentally it's the right thing to do. And you want to, and people are like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're a family. We're a church family. That's what we do. I tell people all the time, I've got my own physical, immediate blood family. But I've got another family. I've got another family, and that's my church family. I might want to add, your church family lasts for all of eternity. It really does. All of eternity. Are you committed to it? You and I never get so big that we don't need others. See, we're in a daily battle. We're in a daily struggle. I've been talking to you about that in this recent series, Seeing the Invisible. There's a spiritual warfare out there, and the reality is we need to know who we can count on. You need to know who's a faithful person in the army with you, a faithful member of the team. You need to know. In fact, so many of you, I just think about that even, while I'm talking. So I'm like, you know what? If I needed somebody, I just started just taking it off on the list. Man, if I needed something, I would just, they're so trustworthy, they're so faithful, they're so reliable. It wouldn't be any hesitation. I'm out of time, but I'll tell you one funny story as we leave. I always put Christmas lights on the house every year. And, I get excited about it because others get excited about the house being decorated. Trust me, if you knew me well, I have no business being on tall ladders. I can remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I shimmied up on the roof of the ladder that was way too short, but I prided myself and I'm strong enough, capable enough. I can pull myself up on this roof. And I did. My ladder was way too short. And it worked out good. I put out all the Christmas lights. Plugged, the way it was, I could plug them from the top, lit up. I felt like Clark Griswold. It was amazing. And I thought, wow, job done. Gathered my supplies up, walked over to the edge of the roof, went to lean down, and oh my goodness, impossible. There's just no way. No matter how healthy, strong, athletic, I couldn't. Thank you, Jesus. I had my cell phone. Nobody was at the house. Nobody hadn't been at the house for quite some time. So I called a buddy, a faithful buddy, and I said, I need some help. He said, what can I do? I said, I'm stuck on the roof. I'm just laying here. I'm just laying here. It's a beautiful night. Star, can you come get me off the roof? And he just started laughing. He said, you need a tall ladder? I'm like, yes, I need a tall ladder. I'll be right over. And he did. That's why I'm here right now. Because he got me off the roof when I needed somebody that's faithful. Are you faithful? Are you? God rewards faithfulness. Are you somebody that can be counted on? I hope you are. I do. Would you stand with me for a closing prayer? And as we do, I want you to look at this last verse. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been great having you. What a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day it has been. I'm so glad you've been a part of it. All you guys who have won race tickets and grills and stuff today, I'm so envious. The Lord will help me to process that. But we have, as I mentioned to you, all you dads, be sure to get some of that gourmet barbecue sauce. Get one of those on your way out. But here's a verse. And this is how everyone will recognize that you're my disciple. And this is Jesus. He said, this is how they're really going to know. If you want to know how they're going to know, this is how they're going to know. When they see the love that you have for each other. Would you bow your heads for prayers? God, thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for a faithful church family. And God, at whatever level of faithfulness that we are at, we want to grow. We want to become more faithful. God, as we've worked our way through these 7 qualities of faithfulness, we look at some and we say, God, thank you. I'm really, with your help, doing good in that area. Others, we feel pinged. We feel conviction because we're not as faithful in those areas. But we want to be, and we pray that you would help us to. While your heads are still bowed and your eyes are closed, if you're here today and you're not a follower of Jesus, you've not given your heart to Christ yet, you can do that right here, right now. In fact, Father's Day. There's no better time than Father's Day to give your life to Jesus. And you're like, Jeff, I don't even get what that means. What do you mean, give my life to Jesus? What do you mean I need to be saved? Saved from what? And the reality is you need a relationship with Christ. God made you to love you. God created you to love you. God created you to be in relationship with himself. And he loved you so much, the Bible said, that he sent his one and only Son into the world who would leave heaven and come to earth and die on the cross and spill his blood so that you and I could know what it's like to be forgiven. So that you and I can know what it's like to be in a relationship with God. To know that when that day comes and we depart this world, that there's a reserved spot for us in heaven. And if you don't know that, you can't say, I know that I know that I know that I know. You need to know. And you just say right now, Jeff, I need Jesus. And then you would just say to Jesus, Jesus, come into my heart. I don't even know all that that means, but I know that I need somebody bigger than me. I know I need forgiveness because I've messed up so many times. I know that I need a brand new start. I know that I need a do-over. I know that I need daily help and weekly help and monthly help. I need you to be strong in me. Jesus, come into my life. Take my hand and lead me. I will follow you wherever you take me. And for that we pray in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Happy Father's Day. I love you, everybody. Have a great day. Guys, get your barbecue sauce.